Under the crescent moon, the swamp forest stretched in shadow, lying beneath the towering silhouette of a massive dragon perched on the distant mountain. The forest floor was damp and uneven, littered with rotting wood, while faintly glowing spores drifted lazily through the misty air. On the trunk of a massive tree, a small, glowing yellow clump clung stubbornly to the bark. Its two enormous, bulbous eyes suddenly opened, blinking against the darkness. Confusion swept through him. Memories of a past life flickered into consciousness. Once human, scrolling through a manga called Legend of Mushrooms in bed, wondering why it had never caught on, and then, sleep had come, and death had claimed him. Now, he realized the truth. He had been reincarnated. His yellow, spiky body quivered under the shock. Moments later, he calmed himself, reasoning that stories often began with strange awakenings. Survival demanded focus, not panic. Tentatively, he called into the foggy forest, asking if anyone, or anything, was near. Immediately, he regretted the noise. Red eyes glimmered from the shadows above, watching him silently. Giant mosquitoes buzzed over the swamp water, and the air was thick, damp, and heavy with miasma. Yet strangely, his body felt comfortable, even cozy, amid the discomfort. He examined himself, uncertain what exactly he had become. A lump of sentient matter? Something else entirely? A sudden flash of light interrupted his thoughts. A holographic system window appeared before him, displaying his status. Level 1, Slime Mold. Achievement, Weak Creature. Trait, Decomposer. A red alert blinked urgently. Health critical 730. Autophagy initiated. Eat or hibernate immediately. Panic surged. His health was dropping rapidly, and if he didn't act, death would come again. The system repeated its warning, emphasizing his decomposer trait. Then it clicked. The tree itself was food. He pressed his yellow, malleable body against the bark. It naturally spread and wrapped around the surface. The taste surprised him, like a soggy biscuit. For 15 minutes, he expanded and contracted across the wood, absorbing nutrients with wet, gulping sounds. When he finally pulled back, he burped, satiated. A system alert confirmed. Level 2, health restored to 35. XP from dead wood unavailable for 1 hour. Skill point available. A choice appeared, upgrade decompose or pulsation. Curious about pulsation, he assigned the point. Immediately, his yellow veins pulsed with energy. Knowledge of how to manipulate his internal protoplasm flowed into his mind. Even without a brain, he now understood how to move and control his form at will. With the tree exhausted of nutrients, he stretched down the trunk, letting his gooey body flow toward the forest floor. The feeling of shape-shifting, of flowing and molding freely, thrilled him. On the ground, a large purple mushroom caught his attention. To a human, it might have been deadly. To him, instincts screamed it was a delicacy. Sliding across the swamp floor, he followed the shortest, most efficient path. Slow, perhaps, but deliberate, precise, and unstoppable. Even more precise than human engineers, the slime mold silently approached a large purple mushroom, its stem dotted with strange red spots. Using his newly acquired movement skill, he slowly extended his yellow tendrils around the stalk, inching upward with careful deliberation. Reaching the cap, he spread his body across the surface, ready to feast. As he absorbed the mushroom, hallucinations overtook him. In his mind, he found himself in a cozy cafe. Ahead stood a pink-haired woman, someone he had jokingly called Pure Little Mushroom during an online date. Her back was turned, and she asked if he was the man she had been waiting for. In this vision, he appeared as a confident, slime-headed man in a suit, affirming his identity. The illusion twisted suddenly. The woman spun around, her face a grotesque mass of multiple eyes and a drooling mouth, beckoning him closer. Fear seized him, and he screamed, trapped by the hallucination of a toxic seductress. Reality hit sharply. A red alert blinked across his system window. Toxin invasion detected. Nutrients were being consumed rapidly, and panic surged. The mushroom was poisonous. Health points plummeted. Acting quickly, he tore away the portion of his body attached to the mushroom, halting the toxin spread. Relief followed, though at a cost: body mass lost, and maximum health permanently reduced to 17. Frustrated but unharmed, he gazed at the damaged mushroom and decided to retreat. General Slime is merely regrouping, he told himself, slipping away in search of recovery. He found a safe stump and began feeding on the wood. 15 minutes later, his health fully restored, though no experience was gained due to the cooldown. A satisfied burp escaped him. Fully energized, he perched atop the dead wood, formulating a new strategy. His plan was a slow, methodical war of attrition: nibble the poisonous mushroom, retreat to heal, repeat until conquered. He dubbed this campaign Project Move Mountain. With renewed resolve, he wrapped around the mushroom stalk again, confident that patience would allow him to consume it entirely. The process repeated, hallucinations returning each cycle. The toxic woman reappeared, now exhausted. In his vision, he cuffed her wrists, taunting as a suited man, noting their 8th encounter, asking if she would finally surrender. Back in reality, the mushroom shriveled into a mere stump. The system confirmed his triumph, experience points awarded, and a new skill unlocked, poison resistance level 1. The resistance explained why he had survived repeated exposures. Slightly disappointed at not leveling up as much as expected, he shook off the frustration. The forest still brimmed with strange fungi. Undeterred, he continued feasting, starting with a straw pipe mushroom. Its decomposition elevated him to level 3, confirming it was safe. Seeking greater power, he risked a toxic monk's cap mushroom. The fiery, poisonous meal pushed him to level 4 and upgraded his poison resistance to level 2. Unsatisfied with single targets, he extended his body over a massive cluster of white mushrooms, declaring them all destined to become his nutrients. After devouring the last of the mushrooms, the slime mold felt his body surge with energy. Level 5. Maximum health now at 79. A system notification blinked. Saturation reached. No experience for mushrooms for 24 hours. Full and content, he burped, then carefully packed the remaining mushrooms onto his back. They would serve as both emergency rations and armor. As he slid through the forest, the colorful poisonous fungi clinging to his yellow form made him feel like a living disguise. He hummed softly, comparing himself to a crab using sea anemones for protection, confident that this clever camouflage would deter any predators. Suddenly, the wind shifted. A low hum filled the air. A swarm of giant hornets appeared overhead, each carrying a chunk of red meat. Heart pounding, he flattened himself into the tall grass, praying that his fungal armor would keep him unnoticed. One hornet flew low, its prize glinting in the moonlight. Then, from the shadows, a massive green tongue shot out, snatching the insect midair. A giant green frog perched on a log, chewing methodically. The slime froze, realizing another deadly predator had entered the area. The frog's sudden attack provoked the swarm. Enraged, the hornets dropped their meat and dove toward their foe. From his hidden vantage, the slime watched as chaos erupted. The frog, powerful alone, was quickly overwhelmed by sheer numbers. One hornet pierced its backside with a stinger, another latched onto its head, mandibles sinking deep. Observing carefully, he noted a crucial truth. Individually, a hornet was weaker than the frog, but together, their numbers erased the gap. Fear twisted into calculation. Perhaps he could scavenge the remains. Monster corpses surely offered far more experience than mere mushrooms or wood. The frog's throat glowed purple in a desperate counterattack. Its skill, empowered tongue, shot multiple hornets into the air at incredible speed. Yet it was futile. More hornets clung to its jaw, biting with ruthless precision. The slime squirmed slightly in the grass, enthralled and horrified by nature's merciless order. Then a shadow fell across the battlefield. The frog froze, bewildered, before a predator struck with blinding speed. Blood sprayed through the air as a colossal bird revealed itself, reddish feathers shimmering, a snake for a tail, talons snatching its prey effortlessly. Its glowing red eye locked on the trembling slime, seeing straight through the mushroom camouflage. Defeated by the sheer lethality surrounding him, the slime muttered sarcastically, "This game is unbalanced," inviting the apex predator to finish him off. In the bird's massive pupil, his reflection glimmered, a tiny, insignificant blob in a world of lethal giants. The predator tilted its head, seemingly unimpressed, and with a powerful thrust, took flight. The wind alone sent the slime tumbling, scattering mushrooms and dealing 30 points of damage. Finally, the forest fell silent once more, leaves settling as if nothing had happened. Battered but alive, he landed atop a log, clutching his remaining mushrooms. Shivering from the near-death encounter, he surveyed the vast forest and towering mountain under the crescent moon. Peaceful, yet vast and terrifying. He imagined the food chain in stark detail, placing the massive bird firmly at its apex, and realized just how tiny and vulnerable he truly was. Surrounded by beasts, animals, and insects, the slime mold felt the crushing reality of his place in the world. He was at the very bottom, below even the plants, on the same level as dirt itself. Yet, in a strange twist, that lowly status had saved him. The monstrous predators were so far above him in power that he wasn't even considered food. His weakness had spared his life. Opening his status window, he examined himself. Level 5 slime mold, 79 health, 13 unspent skill points. Decomposition at level 6, pulsation at level 3, poison resistance at level 2. Rapid growth, yet his title remained weak creature. Despite leveling up 4 times in a single night, nothing had truly changed. A hollow frustration settled in. How could a simple slime mold hope to survive in such a perilous world? Exhaustion washed over him. He let out a sigh, wishing he could wake in his human bed, safe and warm, and escape the harsh reality surrounding him. Morning broke, sunlight piercing through the dense forest canopy. But serenity was fleeting. A viscous green liquid dripped from the red mushroom cap above, landing directly on him. Sizzling pain shot through his yellow body, and damage markers popped relentlessly across his vision. Crying out, he scrambled, desperate to escape the corrosive burn. Instinctively, he activated a newly learned skill, burst. His internal cytoplasm flared, generating a violent thrust that propelled him off the log. Mushrooms scattered in every direction as he crashed onto the forest floor. He quickly regrouped, scanning for the source. A large white snail with a crimson shell slowly crept across the wood, completely ignoring the chaos. Its stream of acidic saliva landed on a nearby mushroom, instantly dissolving it into a green, soupy mess. The snail slurped the liquefied fungus with evident satisfaction. The slime mold seethed. Food theft was one thing, but acid dripping on his body, nearly burning him, this was unforgivable. He glared at the snail, furious. Yet the creature merely blinked with wide, innocent eyes and made a pitiful, whimpering sound, as if trying to appear harmless. He tried to maintain his anger, scolding it not to manipulate him with cuteness. The snail, however, slumped next to another mushroom, looking utterly dejected, quietly whimpering. Observing its pitiful form, his rage gradually ebbed. In that moment, he realized they were both survivors at the very bottom of the food chain, wandering and scavenging simply to survive. He sighed and let it go. Fine, don't worry about it. Eat, he said, motioning toward the mushrooms. There were plenty to share. The snail immediately brightened, cheerfully slurping the liquefied mushroom. The slime mold watched, letting his imagination wander. Could this be a classic friendship born from rivalry, the trope he had seen in shonen manga? He pictured them teaming up, combining strengths to survive more effectively. His fantasy escalated. Together, they could evolve into powerful humanoid warriors, standing side by side to defeat a great demon king, their bond unbreakable. For a moment, amidst the forest and its dangers, he allowed himself to dream. Convinced that companionship was essential for survival, the slime mold approached the white snail once more. He proposed an alliance, suggesting that two low-level monsters could look out for one another. Promises of shared mushrooms accompanied his offer. The snail responded with a cute sound, but before any gesture of trust could form, it erupted violently, spewing a massive stream of yellow acidic bile directly onto him. The attack caught him entirely off guard. Pain flared as 12 points of damage stripped his health to 62. With and enraged, he realized his fantasy of friendship had been foolish. In this world, monsters did not care about feelings or loyalty. Survival was a simple, brutal law: eat or be eaten. Acknowledging the snail's superior strength, he decided to retreat while it was preoccupied with its vomit. But the snail's eyes twitched. Noticing his attempt to flee, it turned, pursuing him relentlessly. Desperation surged. Using his remaining skill points, he upgraded pulsation from level 3 to 4. Shouting that he was unleashing full power, he surged forward, speeding along the log. A high-stakes chase unfolded. Despite the upgrade, the snail matched his velocity with uncanny precision. Its body convulsed, building pressure, then, in a blur, it unleashed acid liquor. A massive glob of corrosive fluid struck him with brutal accuracy, searing through his yellow body and splitting him into two puddles, dealing 27 points of damage. Separated and stunned, he briefly wondered if consciousness stayed in the larger half, but there was no time for philosophy. The snail loomed, mouth opening wide, filled with razor-sharp teeth, a terrifying transformation from its previous cuteness. Without hesitation, it slammed into the puddle and began devouring him. Pain surged, but he steeled himself. Survival was paramount, revenge could come later. The snail swallowed a portion of his body, pausing momentarily. Red light flared in its eyes, signaling that it intended to finish him. In a desperate move, he wrapped a tentacle around a nearby purple poisonous mushroom. As the snail lunged for another bite, he activated burst, propelling himself and the mushroom forward. The snail bit down, and the poisonous effect hit instantly. Purple veins erupted across its white body as toxin coursed through its system. Foaming at the mouth, the snail writhed violently before collapsing. System notifications confirmed victory, enough experience points to reach level 6. Catching his breath, the slime mold reflected on his strategy. The snail had relied on acid to liquefy mushrooms before eating, because it lacked poison resistance. By forcing a raw poisonous mushroom down its throat, he had exploited a fatal weakness. He celebrated next to the corpse, his first monster kill in this new world. Curious, he slid onto the snail's white flesh, preparing to decompose it. But the meat was sticky, disgusting, and utterly unpalatable. Attempting to taste it triggered an internal scream, salty, sour, and thick as congealed mucus. The system announced decomposition had failed. No experience was gained. Conflicted, he considered discarding the corpse, but it would waste a hard-won victory. Resolute, he forced himself to eat, swallowing both snail meat and nearby mushrooms. mushrooms. Retching and splattering, he endured the foul meal, his body contorting like a glitching mass of slime. Finally, the system confirmed successful decomposition. Experience poured in, leveling him up from 6 to 7, and restoring his body. Despite the level up, he felt utterly miserable, the memory of the vile meal lingering in every quivering tendril. He lay in a melted puddle beside the empty red shell, feeling worse than he had before eating. Opening his status screen, he noted his points: 14 unspent skill points. His skills read: Decomposition level 6, Pulsation level 3, Poison resistance level 3, and Burst level 1. He paused, analyzing what each skill meant in practice. Decomposition was simple enough, it was just eating. Pulsation, he cynically translated, was running away. Poison resistance, getting beaten up. And Burst, also running away. Accepting his harsh reality, he reminded himself that complaining was useless for his species. He imagined the towering forest predators, the giant hornets, the acidic snails, as muscular giants. With his low stats, he realized provoking them was impossible, even if he had offensive abilities. Survival alone mattered. Determined, he upgraded Pulsation again. Level 4. Testing his new speed, he pushed his slime body across the log. Top speed, 20 centimeters per second. Calculating it out, he realized he was moving only 0.78 kilometers per hour. Despair gnawed at him, he was still painfully slow. A week later, he lounged inside a hollow log, holding a red mushroom. Safe for now, he reflected on his limited progress. 2 levels gained, but the local food exhausted. It was time to find a new base. One last scavenge before leaving, he activated search. Flattening his body into a vein-like network, he explored multiple directions at once. His yellow form spread across the forest floor like a living map, system notifications confirming his discoveries. 3 white mushrooms were stored inside him. Expanding his reach, he grabbed 6 small grass mushrooms. He marveled at his efficiency. With precise body control, he could store items or decompose them instantly. A large blue mushroom fell within his network. He absorbed it, the system confirming the decomposition and upgrading poison resistance to level 4. Suddenly, his tendrils brushed a hard red object. A system alert immediately warned, target cannot be decomposed. Pain seared through him, 9 points of damage. Retracting quickly, he groaned, realizing he had encountered the same adversary again. The acid snail. Its signature skill, acid liquor, sprayed corrosive green liquid. He was grazed for 7 points of damage, but his upgraded speed allowed him to dodge most of the attack. Observing the snail, he noticed it moved faster than the previous one, leading him to wonder if strength varied even within a species. He maneuvered cautiously, confident the snail could not strike again. Yet it unleashed a devastating close-range attack, splattering him and dealing 33 points of damage. Seizing the moment, he acted. Intentionally taking the hit had brought him close enough. With precise control, he shoved a poisonous purple mushroom into the snail's gaping mouth. The snail convulsed instantly, poison spreading through its body. He endured the foul taste as he consumed the defeated creature. The system rewarded him with experience, leveling him from 9 to 10. Collapsing in a melted puddle, he felt miserable from the meal, but the immense experience gained from monsters made it worthwhile. After resting briefly, he left the snail's red shell behind and resumed his journey across the grassy forest. As he slid forward, a rustling sound from the dense grass ahead caught his attention, setting his senses on alert. Assuming it was just another weak snail, the slime mold arrogantly called out, commanding the hidden creature to reveal itself. His confidence evaporated instantly. Bursting from the grass was not a snail, but a massive, terrifying centipede with blade-like legs. The slime froze as the towering insect cast a menacing shadow over him. Its sharp blue legs twitched in a rhythmic, intimidating pattern, producing a metallic clicking sound that set his body trembling. Desperate, he dove behind a rock, heart hammering, realizing he had underestimated his opponent. The centipede lunged, mandibles snapping. In a panic, he tried his previous strategy, holding up a poisonous mushroom, hoping to repel the predator. It failed. The centipede's mandibles sliced the mushroom cleanly in half before he could use it. The pieces clattered to the ground, useless. The centipede followed up with a skill called Myriad Blade Strangle, coiling its long body around him, attempting to crush and tear him apart. Its head pressed into the slime, jaws snapping to bite. Yet, to his surprise, the attack had no effect. His liquid body absorbed the pressure. Blades could not harm him. The predator had become the prey. With a surge of satisfaction, he enveloped the centipede, consuming it. Experience points flooded his system. Emboldened by his victory, he continued hunting. A large green beetle perched on a rock drew his attention, and he attempted to strike at a flying hornet, only to lament his height still limited his reach. A cockroach scuttled by, but sheer disgust stopped him from eating it. Later, the slime mold traveled through the forest dressed in high spirits, humming with a red mushroom in his mouth. Checking his status, he noticed impressive growth. Level 13, 157 health points. Skills had also improved. Pulsation at level 8, poison resistance at level 5. Leaning back on moss, he felt confident again, visualizing his place in the food chain, above insects, but still below lizards, frogs, and the fearsome terror bird. Determined to aim higher, he set his sights on giant frog legs, imagining himself atop a pile of insect corpses, ruling this new world. He reached the edge of a murky swamp pond, pondering whether valuable resources lay beneath the water. Curiosity overcame caution. He dipped a yellow tendril into the water. The reaction was immediate and painful. His body swelled alarmingly. Osmotic pressure slammed into him. As a single-celled organism, fresh water rushed into his cells, threatening to burst him like a red blood cell. Panicked, he quickly retracted his limb, abandoning any thoughts of underwater exploration. Suddenly, bubbles surfaced. A large dark green crustacean slowly emerged. The slime mold squinted, identifying it as a crab. It stared blankly, bubbles frothing from its mouth. Excitement overtook his confusion. After feasting on countless disgusting insects, this looked like edible food. He tried diplomacy, calling to the crab from the shore in a friendly tone, hoping to lure it closer. The crab ignored him, climbing onto a steep rock and continuing to blow bubbles. Realizing it wouldn't approach, he planned a different tactic, dissolving poisonous mushrooms to poison the water and kill the crab remotely. Before he could act, the crab struck. Using bubble barrage, it fired a high-pressure water beam directly at him. The force slammed him backward, dealing 25 points of damage. Shocked, he realized that even a simple water attack could hurt him so severely. The crab fired again. The slime mold twisted to dodge, but a second blast struck him, dealing 10 points of damage as he scrambled backward. He slid behind a massive tree root, narrowly blocking the incoming water beams. Breathing hard, he realized the swamp crab was far stronger than any of the insects he had been farming. Running now would make him a target. He needed a plan. He hunkered down, hoping the crab would lose patience. A sudden splash erupted from the pond. Peeking out, the slime mold's relief vanished. The giant swamp crab had climbed onto land, snapping its claws aggressively. It activated dash, scuttling sideways with terrifying speed, closing the distance between predator and prey. The slime mold panicked, frantically climbing the tree trunk. Clinging to the rough bark, he looked down at the water-spewing beast below. Relief flickered. He might avoid the crab's attacks by staying high. But that relief was cut short by a chittering sound above. Looking up, he saw a large pale spider with glowing red eyes descending toward him. Unfazed, or trying to appear so, he waved a tentacle dismissively. "Move along," he called. "I'm busy with the crab." He boasted arrogantly that he had eaten plenty of bugs like it and didn't need to fear a mere spider. The spider did not retreat. It hissed, eyes blazing, and struck with arachnid slash. Its front leg moved like a blade, severing a chunk of his slime body and dealing 30 points of damage. He watched in disbelief as the spider caught and devoured the severed portion. A status window flashed. The spider was level 16, with swordsmanship level 8. Before he could react further, a high-pressure water blast struck the tree trunk inches from him, knocking him back 17 points. Trapped between the sword-wielding spider above and the water-spewing crab below, despair set in. Tears welled as he realized he had cornered himself. From the ground, the swamp crab fired again. The slime mold dodged at the last second. The blast missed him entirely, striking the spider instead. The force knocked the arachnid off the tree. Furious, the spider retaliated with a stream of white silk, binding the crab's claws. Seizing the opening, it leapt down and slashed at the crab's hard shell, while the crab countered with crustacean clamp, snapping claws at the agile spider. The spider used arachnid silk control to dodge, the sticky webs hindering the crab's movement. High above, the slime mold watched in awe as his plan unfolded. His enemies were now fighting each other. The crab struggled, bubbles frothing from its mouth. The spider struck the crab's eye stalk with precision, causing a burst of light and pain. It prepared to follow up, but the crab swung its massive claw violently. The spider dodged, leaping into the air, while the immobilized crab thrashed beneath the binding silk. Using silk control, the spider wrapped the crab in a complete cocoon, claiming the high ground. From his perch in the tree, the slime mold marveled at the scene. The tiny spider had turned the tables on a predator many times its size. The spider loomed over the crab, ready to feast. Foam bubbled from the crab's mouth, glowing ominously. Suddenly, a massive blade of compressed water shot forth from the crab, slicing through the cocoon and shredding the silk. The spider was caught in midair, instantly cut into pieces. Water blades erupted in all directions, a chaotic storm of deadly pressure. One blade struck the tree trunk mere inches from the slime mold. He shivered shivered, realizing the crab's survival instincts had triggered a hidden, devastating power. Below him, the giant swamp crab finally collapsed from exhaustion, sputtering a last weak stream of water as its adrenaline faded. The chaotic battle had ended, the spider monster lay in pieces, the crab immobilized and helpless. Drained, the slime mold peeked from behind the tree roots, waiting until the terrifying water attack ceased before making a move. Once the forest fell silent, he cautiously emerged. Slime mold approached the trapped crab, mockingly commenting on its wasted energy and pathetic state. Yet, finishing the sturdy creature posed a problem. Suffocating it was too dangerous, and forcing mushrooms into its clamped mouth was impossible. He needed a weapon, and quickly. His gaze fell on a massive rock nearby. Stretching his yellow body over it, he tried to absorb it into his slime inventory. A system error flashed, insufficient space. He realized storage depended on his current health points, which were too low after the battle. Resolving to prioritize the kill over his hoard, he vomited his entire mushroom collection to free inventory space. With his storage cleared, he successfully absorbed the heavy rock. The weight made his body bulge and thud against the ground, but he pushed on, dragging himself toward a tree. Climbing high above the crab, he positioned himself carefully. "Time to finish you," he declared. Using gravity as an ally, he let go, plummeting like a boulder. The crab, terrified, fired a final high-pressure water stream, but the momentum of the falling rock-slime hybrid was unstoppable. The slime endured the impact, determined to crush his foe. With a deafening crash, he collided with the crab's shell, creating a massive shockwave. Dust settled to reveal the slime mold atop the crushed creature. A system notification confirmed the kill. Level 14, 0.5 skill points gained. Overjoyed, he laughed maniacally, reveling in victory. Without delay, he prepared to feast. Sitting atop the crab's overturned shell like a chef, he arranged its organs and roe as a soup bowl and used a piece of leg meat as a utensil. Ignoring the spider remains, he dipped white crab meat into the yellow roe. His first bite overwhelmed him. After days of moldy wood, snails, and insects, the taste of fresh seafood was a revelation. Tears streamed down his slimy form as he savored the flavor, vowing to survive in this dangerous world to find more delicious meals. He ate every last bit, leaving nothing behind, and collapsed on a log, stuffed and satisfied. His status window confirmed level 14 with 168 health points, fully recharged and energized. Feeling restless, he decided to experiment. Sitting before a rock, he focused on his internal structure, squeezing his body with all his might. His single eye bulged as he strained, screaming internally. He remembered the crab's bubble barrage attack and reasoned that, as a slime mold, he should be able to mimic it. At first, only weak squirts emerged from his body in the wrong direction. Frustrated, he melted into a puddle. But determination flared. He tensed fully, compressing his internal fluids to their limit. Suddenly, a high-speed jet of yellow cytoplasm shot forward, piercing a hole in the crab's shell. A system alert confirmed the skill had evolved into a new attack, cytoplasm jet, allowing him to launch his own body mass as a projectile. Thrilled, he laughed, exhilarated by the newfound skill. Curious about limitations, he tested it again, firing 2 more shots in rapid succession. To his delight, there was no cooldown. Firing continuously, he pierced the shell repeatedly until the system confirmed cytoplasm jet had upgraded to level 2. The exhilaration of his new power quickly gave way to a harsh reality. Each shot of his cytoplasm jet came at a steep cost, his own body mass. The slime mold shriveled into a thin, fragile stick. A system alert flashed, health critical. Without magic or weapons, his body was his only combat resource. Disappointed that he couldn't rely on magical prowess, he began eating the crab to recover lost mass. While feeding, an idea struck him. If eating could restore his health, could he reclaim his severed parts? Searching the grass, he found a large chunk of yellow slime, the piece he had lost when the spider monster had sliced him. Hesitant but curious, he touched it to his main body, activating reclamation. The piece fused with him, and memories surged through his consciousness, fighting the spider, dropping the rock, and the chaos that followed. Even separated, a fragment of him had its own perspective. He realized something brilliant: severed parts, though lacking full consciousness of him, and memories surged through his consciousness, fighting the spider, dropping the rock, and the chaos that followed. Even separated, a fragment of him had its own perspective. He realized something brilliant: severed parts, though lacking full consciousness, could decompose materials independently. By reabsorbing them, he could gain the health and experience they collected. His mind buzzed with possibilities. He could send fragments across the forest like multiple mouths, exponentially increasing his resource gathering and leveling speed. Eager to test his theory, he used division. A small chunk split from his main body, costing 10 health points. Both pieces looked weak, and he realized the limitation. If his health dropped below 30, he risked starvation. With a careful calculation, he forced a larger chunk to separate, taking 30 damage. The new yellow blob wriggled independently, confirming the success of his experiment. Excited, he imagined himself wearing a ninja headband, thinking of it as a shadow clone technique. He quickly put the strategy to use. One small clone decomposed a dead log, while others attacked nearby mushrooms. His status window glowed with satisfaction. Level 14, 198 HP, skills including decomposition, pulsation, poison resistance, and cytoplasm jet. By sending out clones to farm, he could keep his main body safe, feasting on leftover spider meat and replenishing health. Emboldened, he visualized himself in a sleek, humanoid armored form. He tested his defenses mentally, imagining blades striking him. Physical attacks, whether ordinary thrusts or powerful energy slashes, passed harmlessly through his liquid body, reconnecting without injury. He smiled, confident he was virtually immune to physical harm. Yet, a shadow of doubt remained. What of magic? Could it bypass his liquid resilience? He had seen none yet, perhaps because this world was dominated by wild beasts, not spellcasters. Determined to experiment, he set a trap in the murky pond, using small slime fragments as bait. A giant swamp crab burst from the water, snatching the pieces. Following a trail of slime into the grass, the crabs moved unwittingly into a kill zone. High above, slime mold clung to a tree branch, observing as they feasted. With precise timing, he pushed the branch, sending it crashing down with devastating force. Crabs were smashed instantly. Notifications flooded his system. Defeating 6 crabs at once granted enough experience to jump from level 14 to 15. He dropped to the ground, finished off survivors with a rock, and feasted. After decomposing the crab meat, his health fully restored, he surveyed the clean shells with satisfaction. Now at a higher level, he turned to combat practice. He propped a crab shell against a rock and imagined himself as a cool gunslinger preparing to fire a storm of yellow projectiles. In reality, he unleashed a rapid barrage of slime bullets. The shell smoked under the impact. The system confirmed. Plasmodial barrage, cytoplasm jet, leveled up from 5 to 6. The intense training, however, came at a cost. He shriveled, his health critically low after expending so much of his body mass. He quickly ate a mushroom to recover from the autophagy state, reflecting on the past 2 days of grueling effort. Despite the exhaustion, he noted the improvement. The power and accuracy of his attacks had grown significantly. He calculated his stamina, realizing he could only fire 30 cytoplasm jets before risking his own survival. Still, a question lingered. How could he make each shot more lethal without sacrificing even more of his body? An idea sparked in the slime mold's mind as he eyed a poisonous mushroom and a nearby rock. Perhaps, he thought, he could combine them with his cytoplasm projectiles. Wrapping a mushroom inside a slime shot might inflict poison from a distance, while encasing a rock could drastically increase the projectile's physical impact. He tested it immediately. A rock-infused shot struck a tree with a loud crack, proving its power. Pleased, he arrogantly called himself a genius, basking in the thrill of inventing such a versatile attack. A soft rustling interrupted his celebration. From a nearby tree hollow, a faint glow caught his attention. Curiosity piqued, he slithered closer, climbing the trunk and peering inside. What he saw froze him solid. A spectral blue owl, its magical aura radiating with an intimidating presence. Instantly, panic surged. This wasn't a mere wild beast, it was a magic user. Heart pounding, he scrambled down the tree and fled, convinced a single spell could end him. Yet the owl remained in the hollow, watching silently. Unseen by the slime, the creature was linked to a human far away. A woman's eye glowed the same eerie blue as the owl, and she peered through her hand like a telescope. Mounted on a massive armored boar with 2 companions, she scanned the forest. When asked if she found anything, she shook her head. Nothing important, just a strange little monster, she said. The adventurers pressed onward, unaware of the slime mold fleeing through the underbrush, terrified at the thought of provoking a magic user. He soon reached a river, unsure how to cross. Then, recalling the principles of momentum, he hatched a plan. Launching himself into the air, he activated plasmodial barrage, not to attack, but to fire projectiles backward for propulsion. The tactic worked perfectly, though it cost him 80 health points. He rocketed across the river, crashing onto the far bank, exhausted but relieved. He feasted on dead wood to recover, reflecting on how even with his growing strength, a high-tier opponent could still end him instantly. His contemplation was interrupted by an overwhelming pressure descending from above. A dark, fiery red aura suffused the forest, more terrifying than any snake-tailed terror bird he had encountered. Heart racing, he assumed the magical owl had found him. Slowly, he turned, but it was not the owl. Lying on the forest floor before him was a colossal severed claw, white-scaled with a black nail, massive enough to crush trees. Fear quickly twisted into greed. This, he realized, was a legendary, golden finger, a cheat-like artifact of immense power. He laughed maniacally, envisioning evolution and boundless strength. Immediately, he spread his body over the claw, activating dissolution to absorb it. His slime tendrils wrapped around the scales, straining to break down the surface, but it resisted. Pain lanced through him as the system alerted. Decomposition failed. The level gap was too great, his skill too low. Instead of gaining experience, he took continuous damage. 10, 20, 10. Desperate, he activated autotomy, severing part of his body to escape. A chunk flew off as he recoiled from the claw. Frustration and regret filled him. That treasure was useless, for now. His inventory was too small to carry it, and his decomposition skill too weak to absorb it. He made a plan: train, level up, and return. Before he could act further, the ground trembled violently. The golden finger, alive with power, launched into the sky with a deafening roar, tearing through the forest canopy. Shockwaves and debris rained down, and a blast struck near him, carving a massive crater. He barely survived, trembling, realizing how dangerous this world had become. Huddled beneath a tree root, he abandoned his arrogance. He focused on survival, decomposing dead wood to grow safely. Below, the forest floor teemed with worms, scattered gems, and a buried mimic lying in wait. Far to the northeast, the golden finger had landed underground, radiating a sinister red-black aura, alive and dangerous. Scanning his mental map, he confirmed the owl's position to the southwest. Satisfied he was in a relative safe zone, he chose a sturdy tree to establish a temporary base. With dissolution, he attached to the trunk and began melting through the bark, preparing for rest and to retrieve his clones the next day. The slime mold surveyed his new home with pride. He had designed a narrow entrance to block larger monsters while keeping the interior spacious and comfortable. Imagining himself wearing a hard hat, he eagerly began the excavation project, dissolving the tree layer by layer and tunneling deep into the wood. For illumination, he planted a luminous mushroom, its soft blue glow giving off a faint, poisonous aura. Exhausted but satisfied, he collapsed onto a bed of moss he had gathered, admiring his handiwork. Inside, the base was clever and efficient. A stone table served as a dining surface, the mushroom's glow bathed the chamber in soft light, and a poison mushroom sealed the entrance. A tunnel led to a decoy chamber below, while a hidden passage connected to his real safe chamber above. Feeling triumphant, he flexed a tentacle around a twig, lying back on the moss bed and chewing it like a cigar, relishing the security of his fortress. His peace, however, was short-lived. A loud, rhythmic buzzing vibrated through the wood, irritating him. Angry, he poked his head out of the hollow and saw a massive swarm of wasps weaving through the canopy. Instead of panicking, he studied their numbers and an idea formed. Giant wasps patrolled their territory with precision, but he was faster and more cunning. From his hiding spot, he fired a cytoplasm jet, smashing one wasp midair. Then, positioning himself openly at the entrance, he acted as bait, taunting the swarm. Enraged, the wasps dived at the tree, stingers extended, but he retreated into the narrow hole just in time. Many missed or became lodged in his sticky body. The system notified him. Experience points were flowing in effortlessly. His trap worked perfectly. Emboldened, he allowed two survivors to escape and quietly followed them through the forest to a massive nest high in the canopy. From a nearby branch, he observed their home. His single eye narrowed as he planned his attack. Revealing himself, he drew the attention of the sentry bees. They released pheromones, alerting the colony. A deafening buzz erupted as thousands of wasps poured out. He stood his ground. Physical attacks were useless against his body. More enemies only meant more experience points. But the wasps had an unexpected tactic. They swarmed him, forming a tightly vibrating ball. Their wings flapped in unison, generating heat like an oven. System warning: temperature critical. Cells were dying from the extreme heat. Panicking, he realized the swarm could cook him alive. Desperate, he retaliated with plasmodial barrage, slime projectiles shredding workers and breaking the formation. Just as he gained the upper hand, a new threat emerged, a heavily armored wasp, its beeswax shield blocking his attacks. The creature charged, deflecting his previously lethal projectiles with ease. The battle had just escalated, and the slime mold realized his ingenuity would be tested like never before. The slime mold clung tightly to the branch, his single eye widening as he realized the hive's main guards were far stronger than the scouts he had faced before. Among them, a striking figure caught his attention, a white-furred insect wielding a wooden staff. The creature raised the staff, conjuring a glowing magical circle above the canopy. The swarm summon skill activated, and a massive army of wasps descended, filling the air with their deafening buzz. The hierarchy was clear: worker wasps, armored guards, and the mage commander directing them all. Trembling, the slime mold understood he was facing an evolved enemy, one capable of magic. His greatest fear realized. The wasp mage raised its staff and issued a cold command. Armored guards surged forward, diving to execute him. Instinctively, the slime mold unleashed plasmodial barrage, firing streams of yellow fluid at the charging swarm. The attack was devastating, blasting wasps across the canopy, but the sheer number of enemies forced him to fire continuously. Each shot drained his biomass, shrinking his body and dropping his health by 10 points per strike. To sustain his assault, he anchored himself to the branch and activated decomposition, siphoning nutrients from the wood. With each tick, he regained 10 health points, offsetting the cost of his relentless attack. Still, the armored wasp guards pressed the offensive. One raised its beeswax shield, deflecting his shots with precision. Frustrated, the slime mold realized he needed his last stone to reinforce a projectile and pierce their defenses. As two wasp guards lunged to finish him off, they crashed into his gooey body. Physical contact was his specialty. Mocking them, he entangled the soldiers in his sticky mass, dissolving their armor and decomposing them alive. After claiming the spoils, his inventory updated with wasp spears and a wasp needle salvaged from the guards. A system alert warned his storage was full, forcing him to act immediately. Thinking quickly, he enveloped a sharp wasp spear in his slime, spinning it rapidly to stabilize and amplify its power. He fired the enhanced projectile, smashing through a beeswax shield and skewering a guard behind it. Seeing its defenses broken, the wasp mage realized the swarm could no longer maintain the assault. With a wave of its staff, the mage commanded the remaining wasps to retreat. The swarm obediently broke formation, flying back to the hive and abandoning the attack. The slime mold remained perched on the branch, watching the enemy disappear. Scoffing, he convinced himself they had fled not because of the mage, but out of fear of his ingenuity and raw power.